This is the original esport racing game. This is iRacing.
Hello and welcome to the iRacing Esports Network and the BSR MX5 Pro Series presented by Apex Racing TV. My name is Sam Fitzpatrick and tonight I am joined alongside by Tyler Maxon, and we are here at Mid-Ohio, the North American circuit, of course. And yeah, we've got plenty of masters to do battle in the 4 15-minute races here today. The qualifying session is just coming to an end, and so we're going to very quickly go through the grid. Just a quick word from you, though, Tyler. I mean, I personally really like this circuit. You raced here a little bit yesterday. Is there any pointers you can give about this circuit today?
You got to be very, very careful on the throttle in some areas. You know, it's easy to lose the car. It's easy to have contact. Really, the biggest thing is to keep it safe and not get caught up in a first lap incident. It's easy to get caught up in one. And that's really one of the biggest things here tonight. You can see a couple of drivers actually starting on a curve. So it's definitely going to be a challenge for them. But the grid is up on your screen.
Yes, and it's Brian Holmes on pole position with Jason Cooper alongside him on the front row. Then it's Adam McNally, Jamie Ayres, Carl Yakalek, good qualifying for him, Luke Cooper, Steve Hefford, Nick McKern, Alex Cherney, Pete Van Gool rounding out the top 10, and then it's Ashley Beard, Ben Sharp, Dave Hampson, Max Wright, Abulkir Al-Amri, James McRitchie, Adrian Hendy, Cesar Rizzo, Charles Kellyman, and Stuart Dick. That's the top 20, and we might go a little bit further with the gridding up. They have got 2 minutes to get onto the grid, but you can see the drivers around the back of the field. If anything, do the midfield, all of the midfield and the back runners as well, all through that final few corners. And we've seen rolling starts bad around this place. I mean, we're going to see a standing start, which is going to be very difficult, undoubtedly, for these drivers. And yeah, just pretty much missing that entire third sector of the lap right at the end there. But Brian Holmes on pole position. And of course, as we loom closer to the showdown, where the top 8 drivers, I believe, are reset on points, what we need to do is get within those 8 drivers at the end of the normal season, and then you'll have a fantastic chance at the championship. And we've only got, I believe, about 6 more rounds of the championship until that change takes place. So these drivers really have got to be on the top of their game. The green lights are coming on right now, and the first race at Mid-Ohio is about to get underway. Brian Holmes from the pole position, and away we go for race 1. Holmes pulls away easily. Jason Cooper might be able to hang on against Adam McNally. Side by side, though, between those two. Out of the top 10, no one getting a really poor start. You can see a lot of them into single file already. McNally, though, gets ahead of Cooper, so up into second position straight away. That's just the start he wanted. And through turn 1, most of the drivers at least staying relatively civil. We could see a bit of an incident going into this tight right-handed hairpin, though, at turn 2. As Jason Cooper tried to come back actually at Adam McNally. I think he's just been able to make that move, so he upsets the Excite iRacing 1-2 and manages to make it, yeah, at least a second place for Swift Cooper instead. We've got side by side a little bit further down the field, but that's pretty impressive so far, Tyler. Maybe Joseph Mitchell didn't take the start, but that's the only instance I see.
Yeah, it's pretty much the only incident I see as well. Everyone pretty much going through nice and single file, and everyone pretty much keeping it calm. But Jason Cooper here, they're fighting up front. Adam McNally, Jason Cooper side by side as they head over the crest. It's very easy to get loose there, but both drivers do a nice job at keeping it clean. Here's another area to make contact, and that's Cooper round. Ayres into Cooper, and Cooper is going to be on the side of the track, and that is going to lose him a ton of positions. He's going to slot down right now. He's currently in 2030 now. He is really falling down the order.
Championship leader, of course, wanted to get a few bonus points for the showdown as well, as place is pretty much guaranteed, but that's still a rare incident for Luke Cooper. Doesn't usually get involved in those. But, today is a bit of a rarity, and that could really upset his day. Remember, we have the reverse grid for races 2, 3, and 4. If you're outside that reverse grid, as he is, he's going to start way back in race 2, and really, it can be a snowball effect, and your day can absolutely be ruined. But, of course, don't count Luke Cooper out for maybe a win later on, the driver who I believe won 2 races last week. The driver's off the circuit going way off the track, sideways there for James McRitchie, I believe, in the 22 car, desperately trying to keep hold of that. He's side by side with a couple of his teammates as well for the asymmetric drivers, and just losing out. He's going to lose out one position, and he might lose another position as well. These guys got to be careful that they don't all take each other out, as we nearly see 3 wide. That didn't go well on the iRacing Esports Network yesterday in the World GT Championship, and it seems like they backed out now.
And there we go as they continue through now. Seeing everyone pretty much slot into single file. A couple of drivers going side by side there. Hendy trying to make up a move on the 3 cars ahead of him. All 3 asymmetric cars, so they're all working together here to try to get back up to the front and to try to claim one of the top positions. Is Carl Yacolet getting muscled out here by a couple of the pros. He's been hung out to dry, but he's still on the inside of Steve Hefford. Very easy to make contact here. He doesn't do so, though. They make the move stick, and he does it quite cleanly, but Hefford is going to come back at him, but he's not going to be able to make it work. So Carl Yacolet up into 5th place, and he holds on to his original starting position. He's done a nice job to stay up here. He is the highest placing AM right now by far. The closest AM that is second is Ben Sharp down in 10th place for Fury Simsport. So he has really got a nice lead right now on his AM competitor, but Ben Sharp doesn't have too far to go to catch up to the Year 1 driver.
Yeah, definitely could see a couple of places gained there, as still Carl Yacolet then leading the Amsterdam. Time to go defensive though into turn 2. Tough to make this move around the outside. Again, you've got to go so much further, of course, in terms of distance. And a good exit though. This is one of the best overtaking chances on the entire second. The longest straight by a long way, and it's not even a straight, it's a constant curve, of course, until right at the end. Trying to just squeeze him out there is Yacolet, but he opened the door initially, and I think going to slither through it is Steve Hefford. Down the inside he goes, and Yacolet's going to drop 1 position down into 6th. And you can see Luke Cooper not too far ahead. Hefford can set his sights on him now.
Yeah, Luke Cooper not too far ahead there for the Swift Cooper Esports team. He right now is the highest placing Swift Cooper Esports driver. Next Swift Cooper Esports driver is his teammate Alex Cherney, who isn't too far behind him. He's back in 9th place. But right now, Swift Cooper not doing as good as they usually do. Mid-Ohio is kind of a tricky circuit, as you can see Cherney and Van Gool go side by side. But Mid-Ohio is a very tricky circuit. It's easy to get loose and lose the car. It's also one of those circuits where it's not like where we just came from at the Nürburgring. It's not about the endurance of the lap. It's about the sprint. And we're back to the 4 15-minute race format, as we're just working through 1/3 of the way through this race.
Yeah, and so far it's been more relaxed than we usually see this series. Undoubtedly, those rules will go out the window in the later races as we get a little bit more feisty. Alex Cherney running a tad wide there in 8th place, having to go defensive against Van Gool. Van Gool gets his nose ahead. You can see how the drivers are just queuing up behind, and if you get a bit of contact, as we saw Jason Cooper earlier on, apologies, I was talking about Jason Cooper. When he was Luke Cooper's off the circuit, goes Pete Van Gool, and that's now going to show what I was talking about. He loses 2 places just with a simple mistake, and he might even lose more could the SimLab driver. He's now got his teammate right on his tail. Also going side by side just ahead is Cherney and Sharp, with Van Gool having to lose, defending from everyone else. But constant battling. If you're not attacking, you are being attacked.
Yeah, that's pretty much the consistency with the BSR. If you aren't attacking, just like you said, then you are being attacked or being passed by someone else. So you really got to be on the edge of your game and really be ready to attack on any driver you get and any option you get. There is Luke Cooper, closing up on the back of Jamie Ayres. So Ayres, after making contact with Jason Cooper, which ended up spinning him around. Right now, Jamie Ayres is in third place, but he may lose position here really soon to Luke Cooper. And Steve Hefford's also quickly behind him, and Carl Yacolet. Wouldn't that be amazing if Yacolet could get a podium overall, even though he is an AM driver?
Yeah, I thought he was falling down the order early on when Hefford got past him. But you know what? Hefford's looking like potentially the fastest driver on the entire circuit. On that last lap, he did set the fastest lap of anyone. So yeah, quite exceptional pace from him. He's this is one of Steve Hefford's strongest days. I would say that there's a few drivers who maybe you don't fully expect to be fighting for those top positions out there today, including Carl Yacolet. So maybe a bit of a specialist circuit. There's a few drivers who've got a bit more experience. We don't visit this place too often, and maybe they got a little bit more experience than their rivals out here. Jamie Esley, he's not looking strong. He's got a bit of damage as well on that bonnet, not going to help him down this straight. And Luke Cooper, you feel as though this could be just a matter of time. He's really just waiting behind his rival. Hefford not showing too much interest of going for a move at the moment. And you can see the contrary lines that these drivers take, maybe going a little bit wider. Cooper taking tight lines on the exits, trying to open up the very next corner. And, well, he's not gaining too much on his rival, but he does look a bit more confident in that car.
Yeah, you can see Steve Hefford there definitely looks to be the faster of the two drivers, but he is a little bit more all over the place. Looks to me like Luke Cooper just has that car a little bit more planted than Steve Hefford. As Hefford runs wide, that's what I was talking about. Hefford not as confident in the car, and that is going to cost him a lot of time. Luckily, though, he is able to get the car rebounded nicely and back going again. But right now, battle for the lead is coming down. The gap for the lead, at least, is coming down. Adam McNally now to 1.1 seconds. It was previously at 0.8 of a second, but he lost a little bit of time there through turn one. If you don't execute turn one just perfectly, you will lose a lot of time. That's exactly what Adam McNally did there. Just lost that little bit of time going through turn number one, and that's going to cost him a lot down this next straightaway.
Of course, at Zolder a couple of weeks ago, we saw the leaders. I'm not sure who it was. Yeah, not sure which team it was, but they were switching positions because if you lead a lap in this race, you get a couple of bonus points. So I wouldn't be surprised seeing that Holmes and McNally are both Excite iRacing drivers. We could see a swap of position, gain a couple of bonus points, and then slot back into place. However, they might be racing against each other as if they aren't teammates, just go all out for the race victory, individual. You know, hopefully we'll see that. We want to see a nice battle. But if they do switch positions and it looks a little bit suspicious, I think those bonus points will be the roots of that change. But still, 1 second between the two of them. No sign of a change at the moment.
Yeah, Holmes has not had the best of exits. McNally's down to 0.6, half a second now, and it was the team of Swift Cooper Esports who was switching around all those positions, and I think that's actually what Excite's about to do here. So McNally is now going to take over the lead, and I think that this is for bonus points, like you said, and McNally will now lead over Brian Holmes in second place. We'll see if they do a swap back here really quickly and kind of slot back into the same time period that they were at. And if they do that, then that would pretty much confirm our suspicions here. Unless Holmes, has had a slowdown, which I don't think he has. I think that this is just for position. Right now, and look at that. Hefford pushes Yacolet off the circuit, and that almost was a bad incident.
Yeah, so easy to lose the car once you get onto the grass and you spear back onto the circuit into the unknown drivers, really, who have no idea of your actions. Here is Yacolet then. And managed to sneak back down the inside of Hefford, who's just struggled for momentum in the past couple of laps. He seemed to just get stuck behind Luke Cooper. He's very quick as Hefford, but couldn't get the move on Cooper, and now he's dropped behind Yacolet as well. Not interested in even biting Yacolet, interestingly. By the way, that change for the lead, very proud about that. It's rare that we ever get things right, Apex Racing TV, but we got that one right. So we'll note that down and keep it for the archives, because let's face it, they're not very filled. Cesar Rizzo going side by side for SimLab, and he's fighting Stuart Dick. Currently Dick back down the inside. But, well, side by side through this part, so elevation change, so easy to get a little bit light on the rear of the car. But it's Rizzo who pulls ahead, and I believe that's him actually overtaking Stuart Dick. He's had a little bit of a poor lap, losing a couple of places.
And look at this battle here for fifth. You can just see how deep the competition is here at Mid-Ohio. We usually see these kind of big, long trains, especially at a track like this. We unfortunately didn't see too many of that at Nürburgring, but this is definitely an amazing track for this kind of racing. And right now, it's definitely providing very, very well racing, good racing for us here. And we're going to replay what happened with Yacolet and Hefford after the races. Hefford all over the back of Yacolet. He's down to the inside. Steve Hefford down the inside of Carl Yacolet. Yacolet is going to be able to get ahead, though, and keep that position. And he's staying in 5th position as Carl Yacolet. But all they're doing right now is just costing them time to Jason Cooper, or to Luke Cooper, sorry, ahead, who is right now not too far behind Jamie Ayers. So if these drivers would just stop battling, then they actually may have a chance at catching that front top 3.
Yeah, because when Hefford was in clean air, he was charging down those drivers ahead. I've never seen Luke Cooper seemingly being so average or like that. I don't want to be mean or anything, but he's always in the top 3 and fighting for the race win at least. But today, just struggling a little bit, and you can see like you said, Tyler, if these guys stop fighting one another, he could be swamped. And here comes Yacolet charging up to the back of him, and he gains a half a second, I think, in just a couple of corners. Really, just a lot more speed taken by Yacolet. He's really liking this circuit today. And just taking a bit more curb on either side, leaning on the tyres that bit more. And he's absolutely loving these conditions at the moment. Of course, we've got this queue goes back down to about 12th place Dave Hampson. And that's where the majority of the battling is occurring.
Yeah, but just like, Yacolet, he's dropped out of the server? No, he's back.
Oh.
So Yacolet's had some sort of issue.
I mean, it looks, on my screen, he'd gone back to the pits. Had he gone into the pit exit?
Oh, he dropped the wheel too far in, and he's gone to the pit exit, or he's just been dropping out. Yeah, he's dropping out of the server. He's having some sort of computer issues. He was telling me about this last night, that he was having some computer issues. Has it come back to bite him again?
Such a shame, because we've really been praising him. Bit of a curse, perhaps. But we'll blame it on his computer at least. Luke Cooper now starting to put a bit of pressure from Ayers. He hasn't got the pressure from behind, at least of the driver who was following him, Carl Yacolet, but he does still have Steve Hefford behind him. Yacolet still dropping down the order, by the way. Oh, he's fighting with Max Wright. This seems a little bit more positive, but I mean, he's a bit more feisty, so maybe those issues have resolved itself, and as long as he finishes on the lead lap, he will be eligible for the reverse grid, which he could benefit from. And Yacolet seems to be back up to racing speed, which is good to see.
And just like you were saying earlier with Luke Cooper, and usually being one of the very fastest out there, that's one of the things that Mid-Ohio can throw up. It's one of the tracks that the drivers who are usually fast aren't always fast here. Is basically what I'm trying to say. And, the guys who are usually slower couldn't be fast just because the draft is worth so much. And it's a track that, it's got a really tricky track, and some drivers really get it, and some drivers just don't. But it seems to be a track that a lot of drivers are very, very quick at. We see the long queues of cars. It's really nothing too short. As we look back here, Stuart Dick looking all over the back of Cesar Rizzo, and he will try the outside. It's going to be a very optimistic move to make that one work. But I think that he is going to just have to slot back in line with Rizzo. But he is going to be side by side with him on the exit. And that is going to be Stuart Dick keeping behind right now. But look at this. They're almost 3 wide now. Going down into the end of the long straightaway. And there's Jamie Ayers. Big tap. He saves it, though. And Luke Cooper just barely getting into the back of him. He did have Steve Hefford there on his inside momentarily, but now this has really queued up this whole train.
Hefford almost getting tapped around as well, and now 24 is around Ben Sharp, who was leading the AM category after Carl Yacolet's issues, and it is now Yacolet back into the lead of that, but with Max Wright right on his tail. Oh, what a shame that it seemed as though, I think it was initially going to be Hefford going into the back of Cooper, and then McKern nearly went into the back of Hefford, and then I think Hefford did go in, or I think maybe McKern did in the end tap round Ben Sharp in the end. So craziness as Brian Holmes is going to win race 1. He beats Adam McNally. And nice 1-2 there for Excite Iris, and they got a very nice setup today. They really dominated that race. Jamie Ayres rounds out the top 3, Luke Cooper in 4th, Steve Hefford in 5th. are there going to be any changes right at the end? It's usually not too many side-by-side action right at the end of these races due to the close proximity of that final corner, and the drivers seemingly quite peaceful across the line. Fantastic racing that Tyler for the first 15 minutes. I wouldn't say that was the most action-packed and crazy race we've ever seen in this series, far from it. But personally, I really like those races because we can really appreciate that the battles that were happening out there, and we can really appreciate like the narration for a few of those drivers' races.
Yeah, you definitely can appreciate it. Mid Ohio is one of those circuits that it's got this draft, and like you said, it definitely wasn't the best race, but it definitely is a strong race for a lot of the drivers out there, and it's a lot of fun to race at this track. You know, it's challenging for a lot of drivers, and that is just one of the many things that this track can throw up and can make for some absolutely incredible racing. But as we just waiting on a couple of drivers to go ahead and finish out, then we'll get the grid or the results up for you and the reverse grid wheel rolling.
Yeah, a few of these drivers dropping quite far back. As long as you're 0 or 1 laps down, you are eligible for the reverse grid, and we do get some pretty big reverse grids in this. Usually 35 plus. I think we've had as small as 25, but I mean that's still quite a few drivers. It really does mix up the order. Of course, we've still got 45 minutes worth of racing to go, split into 3 15 minutes events, so it should be action-packed day in the BSR MX5 Pro Series. The results, I believe, are in. And Brian Holmes does take that win, 2/10 ahead of Adam McKnight. They played the team game perfectly, and it was Holmes who was ahead, and I think that was deserved after starting on the pole position. Jamie Ayres finished in 3rd place with Luke Cooper in 4th. Then Steve Hefford, Nick McKen, Alex Cherney, Ashley Beard, Pete Van Gool, Dave Hampson, and Carl Yacolet, who was top of the AM Jars despite an issue. And then it was Max Wright, James McRitchie, Stuart Dick, Cesar Rizzo, Liam Silkston, Ben Sharp, Adrian Hendy, Charles Kellyman, Carl Hardy, Steve Baxter, Jack Ashton in 22nd place after starting right from the back. Nars Carstensen, another driver who started very near the back. Andrew Maxwell, Matthew Emery, Martin Plowman, Adam Delmont, Michael Barry, Kip Stevens, Viv Cullinan, Ben Mears, Scott Malcolm, Steve Hansford, Ewan Ursum, Martin Sampson, Wouter Van Essen, and David Ayres in 37th place. And then it was Craig Jones, Mikey Key, Craig Cameron, Rob Graham, and then 1 lap down was Joe Mitchell. He'll be the last eligible driver for the reverse grid in 42nd place, so 42 or more, and it will be him on pole position. And then it was Joe McDonald, Abulkir Al-Amri, Billy Rose, Jason Cooper, and Steve Cooley, who all retired from this race 1. But they can have their vengeance, I assume, in race 2 coming up in about 25 minutes' time. But before that, we are going to find out what the reverse grid is, Tyler.
All right, let's go ahead and roll the reverse grid here. For the first time tonight, we have as little as 15 and as large as a full reverse. And I think for our first reverse of the night, it's going to be a full -4. So let's see who that puts on pole.
That will not be Joe Mitchell, not Rob Graham, not Craig Cameron, not Mikey Key. It'll be Craig Jones then, on pole position ahead of David Ayres. Wouter Van Essen and Martin Sampson will be forming the 2nd row of the grid, and Jern Ursum and Steve Hansford on the 3rd row of the grid. So despite that there's a few top drivers, maybe sitting around 20th position, I think, in that, like Baxter, Ashton, Carstensen, who started from the back in race 1. But at the very front, at least, of race 2 grid, not too many top drivers, mainly drivers, so very difficult to call perhaps a opportunity for drivers to take their first win in the series. Tyler, are there any replays that we want to have a check-in from this race 1?
We are going to have a check-in on at least one replay here. Let's check out what happened here with Carl Yacolet and Steve, and that was Steve Hansford. So let's actually quickly, if I can just queue up Carl Yacolet. Give me just 1 second here, and then we'll take a look at what happened with that incident.
Ooh. That could have been 10 times worse than what it turned out to be.
Yeah, Carl Yakola doing an amazing job to not collect the other driver there. Doing an amazing job on that one. Let's also, I'm going to quickly just try and get a replay of what happened to Jason Cooper. So I think this is right whenever Cooper gets collected here. So we'll try and ride on board with Cooper.
Ever so close between these two drivers for the first half of the lap after starting very near each other on the grid. Cooper does the I mean, I think probably racing incidents from that view. I thought racing incident, Tyler, but I don't know if you have a different opinion on it.
I am going to try to quickly get us a chopper cam because I think that we'll be able to see it a bit better. You can see that we're definitely rubbing each other. They weren't really giving each other much. But from that incident, from that camera angle as well, I do agree with you. I think it was a racing incident, but not our decision to make. It's for the stewards to decide if they do decide to intervene on that one. But let's see. Yeah, a bit of net code and a bit of just unluckiness there for Jason Cooper, and he spins around and loses himself a lot of time. And I believe that is all the replays we have here for race number 1. We'll be back in just a few moments' time for race number 2. Don't go anywhere.
Assist to the front bumper, and he hits him again now. Rayon Fowler into the outside wall.
Gonna pass nearly 3 cars down that front straightaway, and he's gonna get them all done with. What amazing!
Lee to the inside goes Logan Clapman is gonna touch in. Pit press sideways. What a save!
Look to the outside as Cronkite goes off. De Jong into second place.
Going for the switchback. Oh, pinpoint driving.
It's howling down to the inside.
He's trying this contact though. Slide left to the racetrack. Chris Benner drives it back down underneath, and he takes that second spot right back. Joker goes to Garrett Lowe.
Garrett Lowe should take victory with all that contact.
He's going to try and make the move around the outside the parabolica. That's not going to work, but he's going to try and get the cutback here. Get the run out the parabolica. That's beautifully done there. Makashube, there's a little bit of door banging as well.
Of the best sim racers, $100,000 on the line. Who will rise to the challenge? This is the most competitive and sought-after season in iRacing World Championship history. This is where legends are made. This is the Porsche Esports Super Cup.
iRacing, you wanted the best, you got them 4 abreast. Often imitated, never duplicated, the greatest show on dirt, the World of Outlaws.
Gotta love this time of year. Only one can be champion. Let's go playoff racing. to the front bumper, and he hits him again now. Ray Alfala into the outside wall.
He's gonna pass nearly 3 cars down that front straightaway, and he's gonna get them all done with. What amazing!
Race lead to the inside goes Logan Cloudman is gonna touch in. Pit press sideways. What a save!
Look to the outside as Kroenke goes off. De Jong into second place.
Going for the switchback. Oh, pinpoint driving.
Is howling down to the inside.
trying this contact though.
Slide left to the racetrack. Chris Benner drives it back down underneath, and he takes that second spot right back. Joker goes to Garrett Lowe.
Garrett Lowe should take victory with all that contact.
He's going to try and make the move around the outside the parabolica. That's not going to work, but he's going to try and get the cutback here. Get the run out the parabolica. That's beautifully done there. Makashube, there's a little bit of door banging as well.
40 of the best sim racers, $100,000 on the line. Who will rise to the challenge? This is the most competitive and sought after season in iRacing World Championship history. This is where legends are made. This is the Porsche Esports Super Cup.
Welcome back to the final race of the evening in the BSR MX5 Pro Series, of course, broadcasting live on the iRacing Esports Network. This broadcast coming to you via Apex Racing TV. Like I said, it's the last race of the evening, race 4 here at Mid-Ohio, and it is at night, as you can see. And on pole position, Carl Hardy once again another Result Clothing driver on the pole position. Julian Ursum starts in second place, Scott Malcolm in third, then it's Nick McKern, Pete Van Gool, Stephen Baxter, Martin Sampson, Ben Mears, Alex Cherney, and Steve Cooley. That's top 10, and we are about to get the green lights on then. So we've seen 3 terrific races so far. Who is going to win this race 4? Hardy away from the pole position, and away we go. Nice start for Hardy. Straight away pulls a bit of a half-second gap to the rest of the drivers. He'll be fine going into turn 1. Are there going to be any changes for the drivers just behind? So far, I've seen very clean starts amongst at least this time. Won a few spins in race 2, in race 3 at turn 2. But once again, nice driving from a lot of the drivers. I drove a long way off the track there. I think that's Nick McCann. He's already dropped about 15 places or so with that mistake. But Hardy just about hanging on. Malcolm up into second place, just loses that again though to Julian Ursum. And also a driver across the circuit and into the wall goes one of the Automech drivers. That was Ben Mears smashing into the wall and taking a few other drivers with him. They really see an opportunity to gain a few places. Another very slow driver on the outside there might even be Pete Van Gool potentially. I'm not quite sure, but really feisty driving amongst that midfield, and it's allowed the top 2 to really pull away.
And I think that we've just commentators cursed the race. You've said that it's been clean at the end of race 3 there, and immediately we start out race 4, and there's crashes galore. So there's a couple drivers involved in that one. I know Scott Malcolm was one of the drivers off. I believe Peter Van Gool was off there as well, and Nick McCarron was a long way off in turn 1. So quite a bit of incidents here already. But a lot of your main players, your big players, your Jason Cooper, Jack Ashton, Adam McNally, a lot of the really big drivers, Brian Holmes, all having clean starts and no real incidents here. So everyone getting away nicely, and the teammates collide. That's David Ayers and Mikey Gee. The teammates collide, and that is calamities here.
That was Result Clothing, I believe. So as one of their drivers leads the way in this race, the other 2 take each other out, and they both really heavily suffered from that contact. Also a couple of other drivers dropping down just then. Nick McCarron is really struggling after going off the circuit at turn 1. Oh, and another driver way off the circuit, and Ben Sharp, yep, you're absolutely right. I mean, he was off into, another country there. And losing massive amount of positions as well. He's going to have to fight his way back. The driver who finished on the podium, of course, in the overall standings in race 3. There you see the headlights of all these MX5s lighting up this circuit. It's a fantastic sight, one of the magnificent changes that iRacing has made in the past year or so, and we certainly do appreciate it when we see it as fantastic as this. Jason Cooper gaining a place, and he's up into 15th position. If he can hang on to it, just about gets past the result clothing driver, and yeah, up into 15th place. Really nice driving from the car number 1.
Yeah, this is why Jason Cooper won the championship last year. He is so good at dealing with the traffic and not getting caught up in a lap 1 incident. This is why Jason Cooper was your champion last season. He is so good at keeping that car on the track and not getting involved in a first turn incident. And you can see, though, the 2 Exide iRacing drivers just ahead of him. This is his main competition right here, is these 2 drivers, at least for this race. But they are coming through the field. This was a very small reverse grid for him, so that should have helped them out quite tremendously then. So these drivers are definitely in for a decent chance at getting a win tonight. And I think that would be a nice way to end off the night for these drivers, but they do have to finish the race before they can win it.
Absolutely. And yeah, finish it without incidents, you'd assume as well. Cooper lining this one up. We've got 3 wide between Ursum. This is pretty near up the field. Cooper trying to go through the middle there, and he should have the best run, should the car number 35. He is up into 4th place ahead of Delmont now, just nosing ahead of Juran Ursum, who is 2nd place out of the AM drivers in this race due to Carl Hardy, still leading the way overall. And in the AM stands, here comes Carl Yacolet. Terrific amount of speed for him. He's been really lightning fast last week at Nürburgring and today as well. And he might just have to back out of that one for now, because it's side by side just ahead with Cooper finally making that move stick against Delmont. But expect Delmont to stay nice and close for the next few laps as they catch up to the top 3.
And here's your main group of pro drivers. Jason Cooper, Jack Ashton, and Adam McNally, the drivers who are consistently up at the front. They're all on the back of this very large train of cars now, as that's what it's becoming at least, headed by Steve Cooley, who's currently in 8th position. And then he's got about a 1.2 second gap to his teammate, Carl Yacolet, who's currently at the back of the next group. And then there is the front 3. Currently being headed by Carl Hardy, but Alex Journey is all in the back and looking for a move.
Yeah, pull up there from Hardy. He lost 1 second on that last lap after pulling away for the few laps prior to that. So he must have made a mistake, and it's really relieved that big gap that he had previously. So between Ursum and Yacolet, I think we're about to see. Yacolet, like I said, having a good day. He nearly made this move, I believe, on the last lap. Just tried to get the cut back here. Seen this move so often so far, saying that is terrific driving there from the year 1 driver up on the inside, and I don't think there's too much that the driver on the outside can do there. Yacolet on the inside line, the best line, and also has track position as well, just nosing ahead. Cherney ahead of Baxter. He's moving ahead of Hardy, so Hardy's lost the lead, apologies. He was leading going onto this lap. Contact between 2nd and 3rd, and they're both round, and Hardy's in a very difficult predicament right there. Another driver round as well, Luke Cooper getting involved and smashing into Martin Sampson. Now Sampson going into maybe Carl Hardy, I think that was. A disappointment for Hardy, who was leading the way, and all of a sudden he's, I think even, well, he's not towed back to the pits, but I mean, to be fair, that car doesn't look too bad, remarkably.
Yeah, and I think it was actually the driver parked in the middle of the circuit. That was Stephen Baxter, who was parked in the middle of the circuit. I think that he was the biggest loser out of that whole kerfuffle. But this has really been the battle here. Look at Charles Kelly, but gets the bumper there by Adam McNally. McNally goes a little bit sideways, but it will be Charles Kellyman who will stay out ahead of McNally then.
Yeah, look at this chain of drivers. I mean, we've got a chain of drivers from 5th place all the way down to 16th, and then another train from 17th down to 22nd, all racing one another. Cooley's in the mix here with a 3 wide just behind. but constantly changing positions of these drivers who maybe lost out from the reverse grid, making their way up through the order. Cooley's going to get a nice slipstream here as the two Excite drivers fight one another. Fortunately, it's quite a narrow circuit, not like Road America, which we're visiting next week. Although they kind of just open up the door for him. Cooley might be able to go past the pair. They might even just get the one. Stuart Dick in the middle here of a Swift Cooper Esports driver and an Excite iRacing driver. This is good racing. Less contact we're seeing now. And I think they got through that all cleanly. No, they didn't. It was a Swift Cooper driver round, and it was Jason Cooper. And Dave Hampson got involved, and Cooper, who never gets involved in crashes. Well, there you go. Take a screenshot of that.
Well, I think I may have commentators cursed him,
Yes.
saying that he has a great chance to win this race, and this is why he wins championships, is because he doesn't crash, and as I say that, he crashes. Just 2 laps later. So it seems that the commentators, at least us two up here, we just need to be a little bit quiet with these incidents, because it seems as soon as we say something's not going to happen, it seems to happen pretty much directly after that. So if that's not a commentator's curse tonight, then I don't know what is.
I think our evening peaked when we knew that 2 of the drivers out in the lead were going to swap positions to get the bonus points. Since then, it's all been downhill with our predictions, safe to say. Alex Journey, well, maybe that was a prediction for you for him to win this race. He started down in 9th place, so I don't think it was an obvious choice. But he's certainly looking like an obvious choice with only 5 laps remaining in this one, halfway through the race. Now, Jack Ashton, who's really had a really good day, at least in races 2 and 3, and this race 4 is going well for him as well. Up 20 places up into 7th, and he's now got Jean Ursum to catch up to. Craig Jones, who always seems to be in the mix around then. Also Ben Sharp, who got caught up in a lap 1 collision, trying to make his way through the field.
Yes, a lot of drivers trying to make their way through the field that had those lap 1 collisions. We know that there was a lot of drivers who got caught up in something on lap 1 or 2. Here's Nels Carstensen and Stuart Dick going side by side. Dick squeezes Carstensen. Carstensen will be able to get the run, but Dick will have the inside there for the next corner. And he won't be able to get the move done. But right now, let's check back in on your leader, Alex Journey. But with now going on to 4 laps to go, anything can still happen, let's just be honest. And we have seen it happen before. So anything can really still happen here for Journey. He definitely doesn't have the race won yet, but he certainly has one hand on the trophy already.
Yeah, it's getting very close to that. You can see how the track is getting significantly darker. It's 9:06 in the evening, and the date is the 15th of May, which is usually the default date in all of iRacing. Don't know what the significance is there, but no, it's a nice date. I think it's my sister's birthday, actually. So there you go, little factoid for you there. Anyway, yeah, it is getting darker, so these headlights becoming more and more prominent as these laps turn by, and they haven't got too much longer to go in this evening. It has settled down on the most part in the last couple of laps as drivers have started just to get a little bit less aggressive as they start getting into their rightful positions. Still, a lot could still happen. Brian Holmes, of course, has won 2 races so far today. Had an awful race too, but he might finish as the points highest scorer, especially if he can get this move done on the driver ahead.
Yeah, definitely can get that move done, possibly. Just continuing, though, just to look all the way through the standings. We're seeing drivers really swapping positions all the way around. And that's someone facing backwards. That's Carrot Cameron facing backwards then in the Northern Lights racing car. Everyone tries to avoid him, and most everyone does. No one, though, has hit him, luckily enough. And we're looking here at this massive battle, it seems, as everyone really is pretty much all over the place, trying to fight for every position they possibly can.
Was running in 17th position there was Cameron, and I think those headlights coming in useful there. I think in the day, I think he would have been absolutely pile-drived into, but the headlights certainly would have caught the driver's attention who were coming across him. So we got Beard then in 4th place. He's ahead of Cooper, and then Ashton. Fascinating battle this, because they're all super quick drivers, all drivers who will probably qualify for the showdown, and they're only fighting 4th, 5th and 6th places at the moment. And then we've got this one, Joan Ursum, who's 2nd place out of the AM drivers, but he's got Cooley in Kellyman, Carstensen, who's had a pretty miserable day. Dick and Holmes, who's had a terrific day. And Steve Hefford, who's had a mixed day. He's been very quick, his effort, but hasn't quite materialised. Here is Cooper, then Luke Cooper, off the circuit. And into
Almost
that big
rolled that car
expanse.
over.
And he's got a bit of damage, I think, on that car, and he loses loads of positions in a matter of seconds.
Yeah, I don't quite know who made contact with him there, but I am going to save that because he really went high up in the air there. Luckily not to flip that car over, and he actually is continuing. So almost flipping the car over. Luke Cooper not phased at all and continues on here. And he actually hasn't lost too many spots. He's actually only down to 14th place. And here is another. This is tight battling here between Charles Kellyman and Brian Holmes is going to make up 2 spots in the span of 2 corners. So Brian Holmes really opportunistic and passes Kellyman and Cooley to get himself up into 9th place overall and 7th place in the AMs.
Yeah, he's got just a few more of those just actually to pick up. It's incredible how he's picked up almost in that entire pack. And remember, it was about 10 drivers, but he's just got past one after the other. And he's very nearly right at the top of it now. Got Jeroen Ursum next. Ursum's in a fight himself with Stuart Dick. He's done really well at hanging on to that place. I mean, he's dropped, he's up 17 places as Stuart Dick. Really good performance from him in this one. Ursum under big pressure, and I don't think he'll fight this one against Holmes. Realises that he's probably better placed to try to fend off the other AM drivers behind. Ursum, that's why he's top of the AM standings by a comfortable margin as well, because he just absolutely rakes in these points race after race. And it was Holmes who made that move. Hefford now, the next driver behind him. Cooley, right on the tail of Kellyman with Ayres just on his tail. And going off there is Cooley, and we got a driver round, and it was Jeroen Ursum. And, well, I mean, that's another curse. Sorry, Jerome. I was complimenting how, he rakes in the points by finishing. He will finish, but he's not going to rake in many points.
And I think that if we have commentators, I'm going to go back and actually watch this broadcast after we're done and count how many times we have commentators curse someone, because I think it may be a new record, at least here on Apex Racing TV, for the amount of times that we've cursed someone. Here's Ben Sharp getting by Jeroen Ursum, just adding insult to injury there for Jeroen, and losing even more places. There goes Max Wright. Craig Jones is also going to file in as well, so really losing a lot of places there as Jeroen Ursum. But the lead is coming down right now. Adam Delmont closing in on Alex Journey.
Yeah, a really surprising change this, where on the last lap of the race, Journey might just get away with this. Maybe slight deduction of concentration, perhaps. He lost 4 tenths on that last lap. And he's got a bit of damage, I think, as well as Journey. And now he's got Delmont all over the back of him. These two aren't teammates. It's Swift Cooper Esports versus Excite iRacing versus Year 1 Racing. Just a little bit behind. The driver off the circuit. I think that was Stephen Baxter, a little bit absent from the track. But Delmont's got half a chance. I think he's already got a podium today, has Adam Delmont. He might get a win right at the last. Swift Cooper Esports or Excite iRacing. Who's going to have the last laugh here at Mid-Ohio as we enter the complete darkness, as dark as it gets now. Delmont looks to the inside into the final corner. There's really nowhere else to overtake though, and it's going to be Alex Journey, starting in 9th place in this race. He'll round the final corner, and he wins race 4 in the BSR MX5 Pro Series here at Mid-Ohio. Nice round off the evening there. Journey certainly deserved that one after a little bit of a difficult day up to that point. This whole pack a little bit separating right at the end, but still some nice drives. Ashton got up to 5th place, up 22 places. Holmes up 22. Ayres was up 31 in the end, in 10th place. He's the biggest gainer in the entire field.
That is a lot of places. 31 places. Nice job. Actually, Stephen Hefford went up 35. So just barely beat Jamie Ayres out there for the top. I don't know if you actually just said that or not, but just barely beat him out for the most positions gained. But that's incredible. The 35 positions up, and both of those drivers did finish quite high up. They finished 9th and 10th respectively, and that is a lot of crashing behind.
Yes. Key and Barry, perhaps.
I think that is actually. I think you're actually spot on with that.
There you go. Oh, and I mean, I can't even see the drivers, so that was a bit fortunate. I think there might even be teammates, are they? Yeah, so they're both result clothing. There you go. I'm starting to redeem myself after those curses, getting something right at last. So all the drivers have actually crossed the line already, so we can go through the final results. And it's Alex Cherney winning out by 0.2 of a second ahead of Adam Delmont. Carl Yacolet, top of the AM drivers, finishes in third. Really good job from Yacolet. He's had a terrific day, really impressive pace from him. Ashley Beard finishes in fourth with Jack Ashton, a strong fifth, up 22 places. There's Niles Carstensen, Stuart Dick, Brian Holmes, Steve Hefford up 35 places. Rare that we see that many places gained all season long. Jamie Ayres as well, up 31 places. There's Charles Kellyman, Luke Cooper, Steve Cooley, Rafe Cullinan, Adrian Hendy, James McRitchie, Joe Mitchell, Carl Hardy, Abulkir Al-Amri, Joe McDonald, David Hampson, Max Wright, Ben Sharp, Craig Jones, Ewan Ursum, Andy Maxwell, Scott Malcolm, and then Matthew Emery, David Ayres, Kip Stevens, Billy Rose, Craig Cameron, Mikey Key, Michael Barry, Nick McKern, Steve Baxter was the first driver who retired. He was 2 laps down the rest of the retirees, and there were a few of them in this race for Adam McNally, Jason Cooper, Martin Sampson, Cesar Orizo, Steve Hansford, Liam Silkston, Pete Van Gool, and Ben Mears. 45 drivers took the starts there. Pretty much retained everyone. A couple of technical issues for a few of the drivers up there, but pretty good from everyone. So, we might have some interviews. Hopefully, we will. Yes, we are going to have some interviews. And I think first up, we're going to have a chat with Adam McNally because he finished second place in race 1. And apologies, Adam, I've slightly forgotten where else he finished, but it seemed like a pretty good day for you. I think you had in every race you finished, which will be good for the points.
Last one, I had an engine blow.
Right.
I got up into the top 10 again, and the engine let go, and it was devastating. But apart from that, the night was going great. It's been a good night for the team. 3 wins out of 4. So can't really ask for much more than that. First and second for me and Bry, race 1. First for Delmont, race 2. First for Bry again, race 3. So strong showing by the team.
Yeah, definitely. Was it maybe partly down to the setup? Did you really find a knack around this circuit? Because we saw a few of the drivers who usually do really well. For example, Jason Cooper seemed to be a little bit slower than you guys today. So did you? What was the secret out there?
We always run the same setup. Always, every track. The MX5, there's so much little change to do. We found the sweet spot with the car, so we always pretty much use the same setup, unless the temperatures really drastically change. But it was just a track. Really enjoy it. It's got some nice flowing corners. Some corners where you're on the edge the whole time, but the car felt so nicely balanced through them. So made for some good results. Good ways making our way back up through the field.
Definitely. We saw some really good racing out there, particularly in that middle sector where you got the right and then the up the hill into the left. It looked really fun going side by side, and the driving standards today, at least from our view, were maybe a little bit better than normal.
Oh, that was my favourite section on the whole track. Race 1 on lap 1, where me and Jason would go side by side, was great. I've just got a little bit net code, sent him round, and took him out of the race. But I don't think it was anything else I could have done. There was a big enough gap between both of us, and Iris and Netcode decided there wasn't.
Well, it's still a terrific night for you. And next week we head to a very different circuit, the tight, twisty Mid-Ohio circuit. Instead of that, we're going to Road America, which will be a bit more of a slipstream circuit before the Week 13 break. Do you think your team is going to be able to maintain their good performance for next week?
I certainly hope so. It's not a track I'm really a big fan of. I prefer Road Atlanta to Road America. But I think we'll do really well. We'll keep the team going and work well together in qualifying as we always do, get right up at the top, and then just play the team game throughout. Like me and Bry, he happily led us through on one of the laps on race 1 just to score that extra bonus point. So, like I said, it's all a team game, scoring points.
Absolutely. Well, we wish you the best of luck for next week, Adam. And before we let you go, is there anyone you'd like to thank?
Yeah, first off, I'd like to thank Excite, our main sponsors. But also, I'd like to thank Close Racing. They've offered us a test drive in the MX5 at Croft on the 31st of this month. So, can't wait for that. And then we've got our usual sponsors, AR12 Gaming, Motorsport Days Live, Racing Mentor, ASG UK, and the Prio Premature Baby Foundation.
Well, thanks for having a chat with us, Adam. And yeah, best of luck for next week.
Right, thank you very much.
So that was Adam McNiacos, Excite iRacing. Next up, we'll have a chat with Carl Yakolet, who had an awesome run today. Carl, really impressive because in qualifying, I think he qualified up in like 5th place. You must have been a little bit surprised there because that must have been one of his strongest races this season.
Oh, it was awesome. Last night I really struggled to get a quick lap in. In practice, I've been doing 34 sevens, 34 8s, but that 34.5 in qualifying was great. And twice tonight I hit a 34.4, so lovely. But I couldn't do it last night.
Well, I guess at least you managed to materialize it today, and I'm not sure what you got overall in your results, but that race 4 in particular, 3rd place, and you were keeping up with Alex. You were chasing Alex even, maybe a couple more laps, and you could have been right in the mix.
It was the gap was coming down, wasn't it? Especially as Adam had caught him as well. As they started to battle, they would have slowed right up, I should have think, and I would have been right with them. Whether I could have passed them or not is another thing, but that was awesome. To run with Adam and Ashley, brilliant, loved it.
And in the championship, you're currently sitting in 12th place, but today you're one of the highest scoring drivers. So, I mean, that top 8, that qualification for the showdown, it's not too far away.
I think I get in the showdown on the number of wins. I think I've already qualified. I've got
Good.
quite a lot
Okay.
of AM wins, so I think that takes me through anyway. But yeah, that'd be good.
Definitely. Well, we wish you the best luck for that one, and also Road America as well next week.
I like Road America.
Yes.
I really do like Road America. I've just got to sort my computer problems out. Every first race I've been having for a few weeks now, I get freezing, but it only ever happens in the first race. So I have no idea what's causing it.
We certainly hope that you resolve those issues for next time, Carl. And before we let you go, is there anyone you'd like to thank?
Just a big shout out to Year One Flip Flops, of course, and all the guys for absolutely great racing tonight. Thoroughly enjoyed it. Couldn't do it without them.
Absolutely. Well, thanks for having a chat with us, Carl, and good luck at Road America next week.
Cheers, Sam. Thank you. I'll see you next week.
So that was Carl Yakolet having a chat with us there for Year One Racing, of course. And Tyler, that pretty much rounds us off. And I think I was kind of feeling the same as the couple of drivers that we've just had a chat with, but they too were quite complimentary at the driving standards. I don't know if it's maybe finally rounds 15 or whatever this is of the season, or whether it's the circuit, but I think that was one of the best racing, one of the best races we've covered all season.
I actually have to agree with you. I think that this Mid Ohio sports car course is definitely it's a different kind of course than these drivers are used to. And I think that kind of makes them take a more conservative approach to it, possibly, and not go full on out because they don't know the circuit as well. Because this series doesn't really go to a lot of American circuits, but obviously when we do, it does come up with some absolutely awesome racing. So looking so forward to Road America next week before we have a little bit of a break, I believe, in the series as we head through week 13. So it should be a lot of fun to get through that race. I think we're going to see a lot of drivers leaning on each other in Road America, and no one really wanting to get into the lead. I don't think. I think everyone's really going to want to be in second heading into the final corner. So that they can possibly draft up and get by down the start finish straightaway. So we'll have to see how strategy plays into it there. And if teams are willing to swap positions, or if even a team's even going to be able to check out from the rest of the field. We'll all have to wait and see.
Yeah, will be a fascinating road American round. Certainly very contrary to what we saw today, and we were complimenting the driving standards today. It could go down the loo next week, but hopefully it won't do. Fantastic meeting of the BSR MX5 Pro Series. Of course, in 2 weeks' time, we have got an off week. That's because of the week 13 when the Audi TCR, the Audi RS3 TCR car is released. So certainly, if you're new to iRacing, if you're not familiar with iRacing too much, certainly do check out the website and sign up ASAP, because that TCR will be absolutely superb when it comes out in a couple of weeks' time, and of course all the other cars and circuits on iRacing already. Of course, do subscribe to the iRacing Esports Network, plenty of other terrific series, and also, if you wouldn't mind, please check out our channel, Apex Racing TV, for much more racing like you've seen tonight. But for now, from me and from Tyler, we're going to say goodbye, and we'll see you next time.